Henry Hutcheson has some dirty secrets for us. Let's find out what he has to say. Henry, thanks for being with us today.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, Henry, we probably should explain to our audience, the dirty secrets involve your book, which is entitled Dirty Little Secrets of Family Business. What is a family business? How would you define that?
Well, gosh, it's a business where there's one or more people that are related to each other in some way, shape, or form who are either owning or managing a business together. And that family dynamic makes it kind of unusual from other regular businesses.
So it could be the law firm Smith & Son or the accounting practice Johnson Brothers or a name similar to that?
It can be any business. The interesting thing, though, is that, you know, I work exclusively in the family business field, but I get hired a lot of times by accounting firms and law firms and other partner-based firms, because a lot of times these companies get started by a group of people that they're not related to each other, but they've developed such a relationship that when they start running into issues or going to transition the business, they're very sensitive to making sure that they don't hurt the feelings of the other partners, that they ask me to come in and help them because they're not blood related, but their relationship is such that they feel that they're family. So it actually can be a business where people are that connected with each other.
And if I recall from your book, while we usually think of the family business as something relatively small, a gas station, an accounting practice, maybe a store in town that's gone from one level of the family, you know, it's been there 80 years. But some family businesses are worldwide, am I correct?
Oh, absolutely. It is true that I tell people that that I work with family businesses, and they come back later and they say, oh, so I understand you work with small businesses. But it's true that a lot of, it's by the nature of businesses. There are more smaller businesses than larger businesses, but about a third of the Fortune 500 corporations are family owned, run, or managed. And interestingly, it was in a Forbes magazine article probably about a year ago or so, America's richest families, and probably 90% of America's richest families all came from family businesses. You know, S.C. Johnson, Walmart, Ford, etc.
So I guess we really better pay attention to what you have to say.
Absolutely. I'll make you America's richest family.
There you go. You're a very important man. And did I just hear you say 1/3 of the Fortune 500 are family businesses? Is that what you said?
Correct.
Wow.
1/3, about 1/3. Yeah.
That's really amazing.
By definition, they're quite large.
And you mentioned it in talking, but I just want our audience to know, this is your specialty in the world. Like some attorneys are specialized in criminal law. Sometimes a doctor may be an orthopedic surgeon or someone else is a foot doctor. But you literally specialize in family businesses as opposed to just any and all businesses. Is that correct?
Correct. We get calls all the time from people that are saying, hey, my family's arguing with each other and can you come help? And I say, well, no, that's not what I do. And then I get other calls from businesses that say, hey, our business isn't performing as well as we'd like. Can you come help? And I say, well, no, that's not what I do. It's half of what I do. But then I get calls from people say, hey, we are in business and I'm in business with my family members and we're having problems. Okay, great. Let's have a conversation. Maybe it is appropriate for me to come work with you guys. So that's if there's it's got to be a family and in business together for me to engage with them.
It sounds like on the great sphere of all positions in the world, you're somewhere between the divorce attorney who has to get people to come together and the business consultant who's trying to make money for the company.
Well, I usually use the marriage counselor as the analogy.
Right, exactly.
But I'm the therapist. I'm the family therapist, and I'm also the business consultant at the same time. And it's that intersection that's really the hard part. You got family members and all the issues that go on with family, and now you put them in a business, which is obviously complicated in and of itself, and you put those two things together, and that's where it gets its own dynamic.
Now, I picked up a lot of numbers in going through your book. Something like 70% of all businesses are family businesses, which I think that would astound us if we were on one of those quiz shows. I certainly would have gotten that wrong. I thought it would be like 2 or 3%, but something like 70. But then, while that's a huge number, you say, I think 2 out of 3 do not survive the next generation. Did I get that correct?
You did, and that so basically there's a lot of them, and most of them fail, which is kind of why I do what I do. The 2/3 number has been tracked since the 70s from an organization called FFI, and so basically if you have 100 family businesses, and by the way, that's from any generation to any other generation, so it's from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So if I start with 100 businesses that started out and they became family businesses, when they transition to the next generation, there's only going to be 33 left over after, I think they measure it 2 years after they hand over the ownership or the leadership. And then they transition from 2 to 3, and now there's only going to be 11 left because I lost 2/3. And then you transition again, there's only going to be less than 4 remaining when you get into the 4th generation. So yeah.
I would think if there's any family businesses listening to our show right now, they better make sure to get your name down as we give information about you, because they're definitely going to need you if they want the business to keep going on and to be there years and years and years later. So definitely a lot of good information today.
While that may be true, I mean, I can be helpful, but people always ask me, what's the number one thing I can do? And there is no number one thing, but in the effort of trying to come up with an answer is you need to realize that being a family and business is hard, and therefore you need to put forth a conscientious effort towards trying to make it work, because it's not going to happen naturally. And I think that's probably the biggest root cause is you get a family in business, they love their kids, the business is going okay, and you think that the transition will just occur, and it doesn't. You have to put forth effort.
Henry would like to let our audience know, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Today we're speaking with Henry Hutcheson. He is the author of Dirty Little Secrets of Family Business. And Henry, where can we get the book, and is there a website that we can get more information about this?
Sure. Well, it's currently available in basically every airport bookstore. If you know Hutcheson booksellers, they are the bookstores that are in most all of the airports around the country. So it's in all those bookstores, number one. But it's also available at Barnes & Nobles and Amazon, and it's also available on our website, familybusinessusa.com. So if you go to familybusinessusa.com, you can buy our book. You can find out about, our team, our philosophy. And there's also a bunch of information that's on there in addition to the book about, ways to deal with certain issues that are in a family business. So it's a great resource for family businesses.
I didn't know it was in the Hutcheson stores in the airports, but I was going to say, as I was reading it, this would be an excellent read for, if you're waiting in an airport, if you're getting on a plane. Obviously, a lot of the concepts apply to any business, and it's light reading. Someone can go through it quickly, and if you can use that time productively, obviously, all the better. Now, some good news that I read: family businesses outperform non-family businesses. That's pretty neat, because somehow you would think that they would be hanging in there. It's the family business. I got a free job. I can leave early on Fridays, stuff like that. But they actually do better than the non-family businesses. Tell us about that.
Well, it's I found this fascinating, and there's a bunch of research behind it, but family businesses have a number of advantages that non-family businesses have. And we could go on all day, but, they've got long-term planning that they can do, because if I own a business and my kids are going to take it over, I can make investments in things that I know won't come to fruition for another 10 years, but I don't have to worry about the money coming to me because it'll just go to my kids. They can make quick decisions because, if there's a problem or an opportunity, I can go get my brother and my sister and my dad, and we can all get in a room and say, hey, we got this situation. We get in the room, we hash it out, we come up with an answer. In a corporation, it can take months and months and months and months. But the reason why family businesses can outperform on a number of financial metrics comes down to trust. When you've got a group of family members that all trust each other they have two benefits. Number one, you go do your job, I do my job, and we don't worry about each other because we're both, family members and we're in on this thing. So I trust what you're doing, you trust what I'm doing. But we also both act like owners. Even though I may be in charge of marketing and you're in charge of finance, I still am acting like an owner, even though I may be the child or, I'm not necessarily the CEO. It's our business, and so we care about it. Now, a lot of people think that's kind of wishy-washy mumbo-jumbo, and that's how I felt when I first, found this out. However, take the trust out of a family business where people are not trusting each other. And those are the ones that don't make it. Those are the ones that fall apart. Those are the ones that don't make it from one generation to the next. So you can see how important trust is. And, hey, trust is important in any business. The problem is that when you get to a corporation, we're not connected with each other. I may respect my boss and I may respect my company. I used to work at IBM. It was a great company. And one of their mottos was respect for the individual. But nonetheless, I'm working for my boss and my boss works for somebody else and we're all working for the company. But it's a different thing from being related to somebody. It's a different level of trust.